Hello, this is my personal study for this year, designing a unit. Despite having taught for many years now, I decided that I want to look back and then look at how to design a unit, especially for a special year that we do not know if it's going to be face-to-face, hybrid, or distance learning. So to get started, I asked myself, what is really a meaningful unit this time around? And how can I teach to ensure that my students are going to get the best possible or as much as they can this year? Um, so I developed a question that I can focus on, and also combined my team goal. This is with my other teacher that I'm teaching with, as well as my own personal goal. So first, I look at our department goal, and our department goal is designing a meaningful unit plans for each math course and to see the whole picture. And so we talked about what is meaningful for us and what does a whole picture mean. Okay, so after looking at these two words, now I decided to make my own wonderful image just because I'm very visual. So I want to make sure that I have everything when I am designing the unit. So I use this image to remind me. Okay, so another thing is that I decided to follow the structure of an inquiry classroom, and then I incorporated service and how to integrate action within the unit. Okay. And so then I went ahead and all of the things following from the image that I have created, the department goal, what are the things that I have to make sure that I have embedded in the unit. So I created all these questions, but this year I look at my checklist at the end of the unit instead of at the beginning. And so I check if I had done it. And so this is sort of my guide. Okay, for the components of the unit, so all first three units, I incorporated the following. So I make sure that I have I gave my students choices for how they're going to provide their learning evidences, as well as the learning process to give them the voice. And then there's self and peer assessment, and then there's also the personal story for every unit when we start, so that they know I am trying to check on how best they are learning. And then there's also emotional check-in. The emotional check-in is more, I do this more during distance learning or hybrid, especially at the beginning of the year. And also there's the goal setting, student survey in the middle and in the end, depending on the unit. The units at the end, especially unit 3, I only had one survey. So every unit, there's a different way of incorporating or embedding action. And you can go back at this video and look at the structure or the table that I have created there. So on the first unit, it's more teacher directed. On the second one, I opened it a little bit, wherein student try to come up with their own action. And then on the third one, it's guided, wherein there's a little bit of structure, but they are free to come up with their own. And then in unit 4, it's very open. Okay, so the following slides are just showing you what some of the things that I had in the classroom. But during this time, I can see this because we are using Google Slides. So these Google Slides are what I call their digital notebooks, so that when they're working, and it's shared with me, so when they're working, I can see it live in what they're doing. And then they have different digital notebooks on every unit. Okay, for the first unit, I did not incorporate much of the action, but on the second one, I focus now, I introduce global mindedness. In doing so, I use the service learning outcomes, and then I kind of like use it as their own for their own improvements. So they have to choose two and then focus on those to improve their learning. So this is an example of a student work. Then here are some of the student work, and then even their reflection, they have to include it in their notebook. And then I choose different time of their learning to give them the opportunity to reflect and assess themselves. And they also assess their actions, the actions that they have chosen. Okay, if this is too fast, then please feel free to stop the video. And so here are some of the assessments or reflections that I have given my students. Okay, so after three units, then I decided what else can I do, and how can I ensure that they keep on developing as a learner. So I saw this picture again, and then it didn't mean as much as before. So I decided, something came up, and I decided to change my unit 4. So for my unit 4, I focus on experiential learning. This is to get the different habits of minds or routines that we have incorporated in the first 3 units. So with this in mind, and including student agency, I decided that on Unit 4 is going to be a matter of choice, and I'm going to provide my students the freedom to choose how they're going to learn, what they're going to learn, what they're going to focus on their learning. So with probability, this is what I have done. And then I also use the core value, our school's core, one of the core values of my school, which is being honest or honesty. Okay, so for this unit, it's 5 weeks, and the students are going to create their own notebook, come up with their own learning goals in probability and how to improve themselves, write their own inquiry question. Although I have an inquiry question, a big one, a unit question that they can follow. And then they're also going to choose their own criteria of judgment, whether it's criterion A, B, C, or D, or they can get as many as 2. And then they are also going to self-evaluate and provide the evidence, whatever it is that they want, so that they can show what they have learned. And then they're going to also give their own level of achievement for this particular unit, and then justify why it's that level of achievement. Okay, so for my reflection, these are what I had second thoughts with the time, because I only had 1 year, and I always worry about the subject-specific contents if I have taught all the maths required for this year. For the student-initiated action, I felt that we were short of time, and we didn't have enough time to develop and complete them. It would have been more meaningful if I did that to them and gave them the time. So, and also we didn't have the opportunity to exhibit their work and celebrate their learning. I am doing now, but more so like just through sharing of videos. I feel that I always question, do they have an in-depth conceptual understanding of the math, or did I really focus too much on their ATL skills and learner profiles? And then the last is that for this particular unit, I also took the risk. Is it going to work? Because I have given, for some of my friends told me I have given my students too much freedom. And also that in the end, my students will have not the same number of assessment per criterion, because in the last unit, students can choose their own criteria or own criterion. So my takeaways, I think that just be who you are when you are designing a unit. It's important to make it personal, because by then it's easier to make decisions, because in the end it's you, and I think that the students will feel that and then make that special connection with you while they're learning the math and my subject. And it's the same thing for me. I get connected with them because I know that I am sharing something that belongs to me with them. um, Conceptual questions, when you watch the videos, you will see the conceptual questions. The more that it's open, the more that it gives more opportunities for transfer, and that they can see that the math is the tool to learn the other subjects or other disciplines. I also found that connecting the different components of the units paves the way to action. It's easier to come up with the action, and the students get it, most of them. And then there should be no deadline or boundary for each unit, that you can always take what they have learned in the earlier units and use it again for reinforcement, as well as like knowing that all these different skills are helpful. It doesn't end. There's no termination nor expiration. I also found out that UNSDG is easier to give purpose to their learning in terms of looking at the global issues and making them global citizens. And then last, especially for Unit 4, I felt that the learning has become visible, especially the ones that we can't really evaluate or assess. It came out when they have to show and choose their own way of showing their learning. So ATEL skills, learner profiles, and even our school score value have been visible. And then for the last unit, because they have to choose their own criterion or criteria, then they have better understanding. And I think that they will take it until to the next year. So thank you, and then for listening to me, and I hope to get some feedback from you. Thank you.